Welcome to our channel, where we honor the lives of remarkable American legends. Today, May 17, 2025, we pay tribute to iconic figures who've passed, celebrating their enduring contributions to culture, music, and history. Join us as we reflect on their legacies and the impact they left behind. If you find this tribute meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share to keep their stories alive. Let's begin. John Brechin. What does it take to rise from environmental crusader to a key player in Obama's cabinet, only to vanish from the spotlight after a bizarre incident? John Brechin's story is one of ambition, power, and a shocking twist that left everyone questioning what really happened. Let's dive in. Brechin started as a young idealist. Fresh out of Yale Law School in 1969, he co-founded the Natural Resources Defense Council, a powerhouse environmental group still fighting for the planet today. By his early 30s, he was leading California's water and utilities boards, shaping policies that impacted millions. His passion for the environment made him a rising star among progressives. But his path was about to take a surprising turn. In 1984, Brechin swapped activism for the corporate world, joining energy giant Edison International. By 1990, he was CEO and chairman, steering the company through a turbulent industry. He didn't stop there. Brechin landed seats on the boards of Boeing, Walt Disney, and the W.M. Keck Foundation, rubbing shoulders with America's elite. He even became a trustee at Stanford and Caltech, cementing his status as a titan of influence. But bigger challenges were coming. In 2011, President Obama tapped Brechin to be the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, a role overseeing trade and economic policy. It was a bold choice. Brechin's corporate background made him a unique fit, but Republicans weren't thrilled. They vowed to block his confirmation until trade deals with Colombia, Panama, and South Korea met their demands. After months of tension, Brechin was confirmed in October 2011, stepping into one of Washington's toughest jobs. And things were about to get messy. Brechin's tenure was rocky from the start. Trade disputes dominated his time, and political gridlock made every decision a battle. He was supposed to be Obama's economic ace, but critics argued he was out of his depth. Barely 8 months in, everything unraveled in a way no one saw coming. On June 9, 2012, Brechin was involved in 2 car accidents in California. First, a minor rear-end collision in San Gabriel. Then, just hours later, he was found unconscious, but uninjured in his car after another crash in Rosemead. The news stunned everyone. He was hospitalized overnight, and 2 days later, he requested medical leave. What caused the crashes? No one knew, and the silence was deafening. But that wasn't the whole story. Rumors exploded online. Some whispered about health problems, others hinted at substance issues, though no evidence backed these claims. Reports claimed Brechin was stressed, juggling intense political pressure, but nothing was confirmed. On June 21, 2012, just weeks after the incidents, Brechin resigned, leaving his deputy to take over. His exit was so sudden it fueled even more speculation. Was it really just a health scare, or was something bigger at play? Since then, Brechin has stayed out of the public eye, his once bright career now a footnote. His journey, from environmental hero to corporate kingpin to Washington insider, shows how fast fortunes can change. What lingers is the mystery of that June night, and what it cost him. John Brechin's story leaves us wondering, how much pressure can one person take before it all comes crashing down? Think about it. What would you do if your life's work ended in a single, unexplained moment? Mette Velander. What makes a star shine for nearly a century? Mette Velander, the Swedish actress who captivated audiences for over 70 years, had a spark that never faded. From her first stage role in 1945 to her final bow in 2019, she left a mark on theatre, film, and TV that still has fans buzzing. Let's uncover the story of a woman whose talent and charm made her unforgettable. Born in 1924 on Kungsholmen in Stockholm, Mette was drawn to the stage early. As a kid, she'd sneak into school plays, already dreaming of the spotlight. By her teens, she was acting in local productions, her passion setting her apart. But what drove her to chase this dream so young? That fire would carry her far. At 23, Mette joined Dramaten's prestigious student school, rubbing shoulders with future stars like Olof Thunberg. After graduating in 1950, she landed at Uppsala City Theatre, where her comedic flair started turning heads. By 1960, she was a fixture at Stockholm City Theatre, a stage she'd call home for decades. Her dedication was unshakable, but what challenges did she face breaking into a tough industry? Mette's film career kicked off in 1945, with a tiny role as an autograph hunter in Kungliga Patrasket. Through the 50s and 60s, she popped up in small parts, each one a stepping stone. Her persistence paid off, and by the 70s, she was landing roles that would define her. But there's one that fans still can't stop talking about. In 1974, Mette became Aunt Hedvig in Huset Silverkronas Gata, a TV series that had Swedish families glued to their screens. Fans on X still rave about how her warm, quirky performance made every scene feel safe yet thrilling. She brought the same magic as Mrs. Palm in Pip Larssons in 1998, stealing hearts as the nosy but lovable neighbor. Why do these roles still hit so hard? Her ability to blend humor and heart was unmatched. And there's more to her story. Even in her 80s and 90s, Mette kept working, appearing in films and taking a role in 2020's Alska Mig. She also shared her life's wisdom as a summer talker on Sveriges Radio's Sommar in 1982 and 2010. Some say she stayed active to keep her spark alive, but could there have been another reason she never slowed down? Reports claim she was driven by a love for storytelling, though she kept her motivations private. Mette's personal life was as steady as her career. Married to actor Ingvar Kjellson from 1949 until his passing in 2014, she lived quietly in Djursholm. Fans speculate she poured her energy into acting after his death, but little is known about her final years. That mystery only adds to her allure. What kept her going so long? On May 16, 2025, Mette Velander passed away, at 100, leaving fans heartbroken, but grateful. Tributes flooded X, with many calling her a gigant, whose roles shaped their childhoods. Her career, spanning from post-war theatre to modern TV, was a masterclass in resilience. But that wasn't the whole story. Mette's legacy isn't just in her roles, it's in the way she made us feel. Her performances brought comfort, laughter, and a touch of magic. As we remember her, one question lingers: what stories did she leave untold? Share your favorite Mette moment below, and let's keep her light shining. Marianne Bernadotte. What does it take to rise from a broken childhood to the heights of Swedish nobility, all while leaving a mark on stage, charity, and hearts worldwide? Marianne Bernadotte's life was a whirlwind of talent, tragedy, and triumph that kept the world watching. Let's dive into her story, one that's as inspiring as it is surprising. Marianne Lindberg was born in 1924 in Helsingborg, Sweden, into a world that wasn't always kind. Her parents split when she was just 9, leaving her mother, Thyra, to raise Marianne and her dyslexic brother, Rune, alone. Marianne often spoke of her mother's grit, calling her a lifelong role model, who showed her how to push through hardship. But her father's choice to leave the family entirely by the time she was 10 left a scar, a quiet ache she carried for years. That pain, though, fueled a fire in her to carve her own path. And what a path it would be. By her teens, Marianne was already turning heads on stage at Fredriksdalsteatern. She honed her craft at Dramaten's student school from 1945 to 1948, sharing the spotlight with legends like Ingmar Bergman and Alf Sjöberg. For 11 years, she lit up the stage, her presence magnetic in productions that drew crowds. She didn't stop there. Films like Kulagala and Le Jean Pas Stan with Nils Poppy showcased her versatility, proving she could hold her own on the big screen. Between semesters, she even worked as a bus hostess on tours through Germany and France, a glimpse of the hustle that defined her. But fame wasn't without its shadows, and her next chapter would test her strength. In 1948, Marianne married director Gabriel Chang, a union that brought love, but also heartbreak. They welcomed 3 children, Robert, Richard, and Marie. Tragically, Richard died at just over a year old from a vaccination complication, a loss that shook Marianne to her core. The marriage unraveled by 1960, leaving her to navigate single motherhood and a career in flux. Yet, even in grief, Marianne's resilience shone through. She kept moving forward, unaware that a chance meeting would soon change everything. In 1961, Marianne met Sigvard Bernadotte, a designer and the second son of King Gustav VI Adolf, in Bastard. Sparks flew, and their shared passions for design and healthcare forged a deep bond. Both knew the sting of losing a parent young. Sigvard's mother died when he was a child, a wound they both understood. They married that same year, blending their worlds of art and nobility. But whispers on platforms like X suggest not everyone in the royal family welcomed her. Some speculate Sigvard's disputes over his title caused tension, though these remain unverified rumors. What's clear is that Marianne and Sigvard built a life rooted in creativity and purpose. And there was more to come. Marianne wasn't one to rest on titles. In the late 1970s, she enrolled at Stockholm University, earning a Bachelor of Arts in Cultural Studies with a focus on art history by 1983. She became an international representative for Sotheby's, rubbing shoulders with the elite in Paris's haute couture scene through friends like Pierre Balmain. Her reinvention didn't just stop at personal growth. She was gearing up to make a difference that would echo for decades. Her true legacy lies in her heart for others. Marianne poured herself into causes like dyslexia, inspired by her brother's struggles, and children's eye care, founding the Sigvard and Marianne Bernadotte Research Foundation for Children's Eye Care. She also launched scholarship funds for dyslexia research and the arts, raising millions with help from friends like Chris Platin. Her work earned her honorary doctorates from Karolinska Institute and the University of Bologna, cementing her as a force for good. She even helped develop the Permobile, a game-changer for people with disabilities. But that wasn't the whole story. In her later years, Marianne shared her life in her 2014 memoir, Glimter Sina, and charmed listeners as a summer host on Sveriges Radio at 90. When she passed on May 16, 2025, at a nursing home in Stockholm, posts on X lit up with tributes to her elegance and generosity. Her death marked the end of an era, but her impact lives on. Recent buzz online even hints at unreleased writings or personal stories yet to surface, though nothing's confirmed. Marianne Bernadotte was an actress, a countess, a scholar, and a giver. From a fractured childhood to a life of purpose, she turned pain into power. So, what does her story leave us with? How does someone who faced so much loss create so much light? That's a question worth pondering long after this video ends. Federica Rankai. Ever wonder why a star with everything going for her just disappears? Federica Rankai, an Italian actress born in 1939, had talent, beauty, and early fame, but her story's full of unanswered questions. Let's dive in. At just 17, Federica was plucked from school for a lead role in Mowgli E-Boy in 1956. She was a natural, and directors noticed. But bigger things were coming. By 1959, She starred in Estate Violenta, a gritty neo-realist hit, and even flexed her range in epic peplum films like La Vendetta di Ercole. So why wasn't she a household name? Despite her skills, Federica hovered on the edges of stardom. Some say the industry overlooked her, others whisper she faced hidden struggles. And then, she was gone. In the late 1960s, she walked away from acting entirely. Fans still speculate, was it her choice, or something deeper? For decades, she lived quietly in Aegina, Greece, far from the spotlight. Then, in May 2025, just days after turning 86, she passed away. Her death left fans wondering about the life she led off-screen. Federica Ranci's legacy is a puzzle, gifted, elusive, and gone too soon. What do you think kept her from the fame she deserved? Norma Meres Swenson. Ever wonder how one woman could change the way the world sees women's health? Norma Meres Swenson did just that, sparking a movement that's still shaking things up. Born in 1932, she was a Boston native with a fire for justice, shaped by her time at Tufts University, class of '53. That drive led her to co-found Our Bodies, Ourselves, a group that flipped the script on women's health. Back in 1970, Swenson and 13 other women dropped a bombshell booklet, Women and Their Bodies. It was raw, real, and challenged a male-dominated medical world. A year later, it became Our Bodies, Ourselves, a global bestseller that empowered women to take charge of their health, think birth control, sexuality, and reproductive rights. As OBOS's first director of international programs, Swenson helped adapt it into over 30 languages, reaching women from Africa to Asia. But her work didn't stop there. Swenson co-chaired the OBOS Latina Health Initiative, diving into Puerto Rico's humanitarian crises. She teamed up with feminist activists to tackle displacement and health disparities, supporting Latina communities forced to flee their homes. Her passion for justice burned bright, earning her global respect. Then came Liberia's Ebola outbreak. Swenson, a board member of Refuge Place, stepped up near the epidemic's heart, ensuring mothers and kids got critical care. It was risky, but that's who she was, always where the need was greatest. Not everyone agreed with her methods. Some called OBOS's feminist roots too radical. Others questioned if its global translations fit every culture. Rumors swirled about whether her work could keep up with today's polarized debates on reproductive rights. Still, these are just whispers, nothing set in stone. When Swenson passed in May 2025, the world took notice. Posts online mourned her while celebrating a legacy that reshaped health education. She taught at Harvard for over 20 years, mentored at MIT, and represented OBOS at UN conferences, leaving a mark that's hard to erase. From Boston to Liberia, Swenson's story is one of courage and change. As we face new health battles, her work begs the question, who'll carry the torch next? Gerard Soeteman. Ever wonder who crafted the stories that shocked Dutch cinema and gripped generations? Gerard Soeteman, the screenwriter, who died in 2025 at 88, built a legacy of bold tales and hidden gems. From nightly adventures to gritty dramas, his work still sparks buzz today. Let's unravel his story. It all started in the 1960s, when Soeteman, a humble English translator, got a wild pitch: write a historical youth series like Ivanhoe. With no training, he penned Floris in 1967, a tale of knights and farkers that hooked Dutch viewers. Its swashbuckling charm turned it into a cultural hit, later spawning comics and a 2004 film. But that was just the beginning. Enter Paul Verhoeven, the director who'd become Soeteman's creative soulmate. Their first film, Turk's Fruit in 1973, was a raw, romantic gut punch that shook up Dutch screens. They followed with Soldat van Orange in 1977, a war epic that's still a national treasure. Soeteman's scripts didn't shy away from love, betrayal, or rebellion, making every scene pulse with life. And what came next would stir even more heat. In 1980, Spetters hit theaters, and oh, did it spark a fire. Its gritty take on youth, sex, and dreams split audiences. Some called it genius, others trash. Soeteman himself dubbed his Verhoeven films croquettes with built-in eel hooks, a nod to their sharp, provocative bite. Flesh and Blood in 1985 doubled down, with its brutal medieval chaos drawing gasps and debates. Soeteman thrived on pushing boundaries, but he had more tricks up his sleeve. Take Der Anschlag in 1987, adapted from Harry Mulish's novel for director Fons Raidmakers. This haunting World War II story nabbed the first Dutch Oscar since 1960, proving Soeteman could weave literary depth with cinematic punch. Yet, not every move was a headline grabber. Ever heard of his comic scripts? He wrote for Floris Comics and Steven Severine Stories, blending adventure with intrigue. And in 1992, he stepped into directing with Debunker, a tense tale of a resistance fighter's escape, his only shot behind the camera. Fast forward to 2025, when Soeteman's passing left fans reflecting. Rumors swirled on X about his quieter final years, with some whispering health struggles, though nothing's confirmed. His 2004 Floris film showed his stories still resonated. Soeteman wasn't just a writer, he was a storyteller who dared to shock, adapt, and inspire. What's left is a question. How will Dutch cinema carry his fearless spark forward? His scripts, from Floris to Zwartboek, remind us stories can challenge, thrill, and endure. Emmanuel Kundé. What makes a football legend unforgettable? Raw talent, historic wins, or the mysteries they leave behind? Emmanuel Kundé, Cameroon's defensive titan, gave the world all three. From dominating Africa's pitches to sparking debates that still burn today, his story is packed with triumphs, controversies, and whispers that keep fans talking. Let's dive into the life of a man who shaped African football. Kundé's journey kicked off in the heart of Yaoundé with Canon Yaoundé, a club that became his launchpad to greatness. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, he helped Canon clinch 3 Cameroonian championships and a Cameroon Cup, proving he was no ordinary defender. His grit and vision on the field also took Canon to the 1984 CAF Cup Winners' Cup final, a massive moment for a young star. But Kundé wasn't just chasing local glory, he had his eyes on the world. By 1984, Kundé was a cornerstone of Cameroon's national team, and that year, he etched his name in history. At the Africa Cup of Nations in Côte d'Ivoire, Cameroon stormed to victory, crushing Nigeria 3-1 in the final. Kundé, coming off the bench late in the game, was part of the squad that brought home Cameroon's first ever AFCON title. It was a golden moment, but bigger challenges were looming. The world stage wasn't as kind to Kundé at first. In 1982, he played every minute of Cameroon's World Cup campaign in Spain, facing giants like Italy and Poland. Despite holding their own, Cameroon crashed out in the group stage. 2 years later, at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, Kundé battled Iraq and Canada, only to see Cameroon eliminated early again. These setbacks stung, but they built the resilience that would define his legacy. And trust me, his biggest moment was yet to come. In 1990, Kundé and Cameroon rewrote history at the World Cup in Italy. They shocked the world by topping their group, beating Argentina and Romania, and then outlasting Colombia in the round of 16. But the quarter-final against England, that's where things got spicy. Kundé gave away a penalty that let England equalize, a moment some Cameroonian fans still argue cost them the match. Cameroon fell 3-2 in extra time, but reaching the quarters was a first for any African team. That penalty, though, it's a sore spot that still sparks heated debates online. What really happened on that pitch? Kundé kept pushing, but his later tournaments showed cracks. At the 1986 AFCON in Egypt, Cameroon lost to the hosts on penalties, with Kundé nailing his shot, but unable to stop the defeat. The 1990 AFCON was a flop, with Cameroon stuck in the group stage. By 1992, at his fifth AFCON in Senegal, Kundé reached the semi-finals, only to lose to Côte d'Ivoire on penalties. His international career was a rollercoaster, but his fight never wavered. So, what did he do after hanging up his boots? Kundé turned to coaching, and he didn't disappoint. He saved Canon Yaoundé from relegation, and led Gabon's Brechin to historic wins, including a cup and championship double in 2003. But coaching wasn't all smooth. Brechin's earlier chaos, with 3 coaches in a year, tested his resolve. Still, Kundé's knack for turning teams around made him a respected name in African football. But here's where things get hazy. Kundé passed away on May 15, 2025, in Yaoundé at 68, and the details are scarce. Online, fans have been buzzing, with some speculating about health struggles or other unreported issues. Reports claim he was in a Mombo, but beyond that, it's mostly rumors. What's clear is that his death left a void. Emmanuel Kundé was more than a footballer. He was a trailblazer who carried African football to new heights. His victories, his controversies, and the questions we'll never answer keep his story alive. So, what do you think? Will Kundé's legacy inspire the next generation, or will his mysteries overshadow his triumphs? Mariano Azuela Güitrón. What if one man held the key to Mexico's justice system at its most pivotal moment? Mariano Azuela Güitrón wasn't just a name in law books, he was a force who shaped a nation's courts. But was his rise as clean as it seemed? Let's dive into his story. Azuela's journey kicked off with a law degree from UNAM in 1958. By his early 20s, he was already climbing the ranks, landing a role at the Supreme Court by 1960. His hustle didn't stop there. He became a magistrate at the Federal Tax Court, and even led it by 1981. This wasn't just ambition, it was a man on a mission. But how did he move so fast? In 1995, everything changed. President Ernesto Zedillo named Azuela a Supreme Court minister, after a massive judicial reform in 1994. That reform promised an independent judiciary, but whispers online suggest it was tangled in politics. Some claim Azuela's appointment wasn't just merit. Could powerful allies have paved the way? Reports never confirmed it, but the buzz keeps fans guessing. And that's only the start. By 2003, Azuela was president of the Supreme Court, steering Mexico's justice system through turbulent times. His rulings shaped laws that still impact millions today. Yet, critics argued the court wielded too much power. Was Azuela a reformer or a gatekeeper? The debate rages on, and what happened next only fueled it. Beyond the courtroom, Azuela was a titan in academia. He taught at top universities like Ibero-American and Marist, earning titles like Professor Emeritus and a Doctor Honoris Causa. Awards piled up: the Anahuac Medal in 2008, the Velasco Suarez Medal in 2016. His influence wasn't just in law, it was in shaping minds. But there's more to this story. Rumors still swirl about his connections. Some online forums speculate his rapid rise tied to political favors, though nothing's proven. It's been said his network ran deeper than his resume, but what's the truth? Here's what we know. Azuela's legacy is as complex as the system he served. When Azuela passed on May 16, 2025, Mexico paused. His death sparked fresh talk about his role in a controversial era. He left behind a judiciary and a nation forever changed. So, what does Azuela's story tell us about power in Mexico? Was he a hero of justice, or a player in a bigger game?